It is time for my monthly wrap, talking all the books that I read in the month of July. Yes, hello and welcome everyone. I am so sorry for the delay, but here we are. As the saying goes, better late than never. We'll begin, as always, by putting the monthly stats up on the screen for the month of July in 3, 2, 1, go. For the month of July, I read a total of 12 books comprising of 10 cozy mysteries, 1 dystopian, and 1 classic. To my age groups, I read 1 YA and 11 adult books, no middle grades in the month of July. To my lengths, I had 1 3/4 tome, 10 half tomes, and 1 novella, totaling 3,543 pages. And to my star ratings, I had 6 5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 1 3 star. So yeah, on the whole, I had an incredibly good reading month. Despite how things were going in my personal life, the books actually were pretty fantastic on the whole. So let's talk about the books that I read. So the first book that I read in the month of July was this book, The One by Kiera Cass. This is a YA dystopian book and it is a reread. It was a reread for me and I gave this book 5 stars. There's really not a lot that I can say about this book because it is book 3 in a series, but we continue our journey with America Singer and this kind of completes the first arc. There are 2 eras or 2 arcs, if you will, within the series. Arc 1 is the first 3 books and Arc 2 is the last 2 books. And so, yeah, this kind of wraps up the first arc. I like the first arc. I loved it the first time I read it too. I just felt that we were leading up to something pretty massive throughout the duration of this arc, and then that thing doesn't exactly happen at the end of the first arc, so that kind of annoyed me a little bit. If you want to know more, then yeah, message me over on Discord and I'll let you know what I mean by that. But I still enjoyed my reread of the first arc. I will not be continuing on with my reread of the series because I just have way too many books to read, but it still holds up to this day. 5 stars from me. Okay, so the next book that I read was this book, which is Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder by Joanna Fluke. This is book number 1 in the Hannah Swenson series, and I gave this book 3 stars. Look, this book has kind of been reviewed to death, so I'm sure that most of you know what the book is about, and I'm going to save myself time on the premise. If you don't know, you can easily look it up on booktube. It's very easy to find, and it's very popular. It just did not work for me, which is very sad, because I was planning on putting the Hannah Swenson series onto my SAS list in 2023, and I'm glad that I deviated from that to give book 1 a go. It just did not work for me. I have to say, if you're wondering about specifics, I was fine with the book and was quite enjoying it up until the murder occurred, and then things just kind of went downhill from there for me and just made me realize that it just was not the book for me. The next book that I read was this book, Castle Deadly, Castle Deep by Veronica Bond. This is book number 2 in the Dinner and something cozy mystery series. Yeah, so I read book number 1, which was Death in Castle Dark, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved this one just as much, if not more. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I honestly believe the only reason that I took off a star rating was because it took me a little while to settle back into this world, but once I did, I went on an amazing journey with our protagonist. I love this series for what it is so far, and I can't wait to continue on with it in the future. I don't have the physical copies of these books on me just yet, but they have been ordered and they are on the way. 4.5 stars from me. So the next book that I read was this book, A Little Princess, and this is by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is an adult classic book and I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, so I truly enjoyed my time with this read, and the more I was reading it, the more I started thinking about the author, because I thought, I love this author, I love what they've done, and then I thought, oh my goodness, I've read from them before, and I have. The yellow book right over there, that one, is The Secret Garden, and that was also written by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I gave both of these books 5 stars because they're just so fantastic. So in this one, we are following a girl who is dropped off at an orphanage because her father, who loves her so much, ends up needing to go off and fight in the war, and turns out the lady who runs the orphanage is not a very nice person. But Sarah, the protagonist that we follow, has been raised just in such a beautiful way. Her father is a very loving guy, and he has raised her to believe that she is a princess. Not only is she a princess, but that every girl is a princess, and everyone should be treated as such. Not in a bad way, but more in a loving way. Like, you are a beautiful person, don't let anyone tell you that you're not, and so is every other girl. And I think that this held Sarah in a very high regard within the context of her being in the orphanage, because there are a number of other children who have been put down or made to feel less than, and Sarah, while she's going on her own personal journey, I do feel part of the reason why she's here is to raise everyone else's spirits. And I really enjoyed my read of this book. The beauty of Sarah's soul in A Little Princess is undeniable. Frances Hodgson Burnett is fast becoming one of my favourite all-time classic authors, and I hope to read more from her in the future. 5 stars from me. The next book that I read was this book, which is Murder Is No Picnic by Amy Pershing. This is book number 3 in the Cape Cod Foodie Mystery series, and I gave this book 4.5 stars, and it was just a fantastic read. Look, this series was a bit up and down for me, but finishing this book helped me to finish the series, so I can now cross it off my SAS list. I thought that the first book was okay. The second book really did let me down, so I had no idea what I was getting myself in for with book number 3, but since I only had 1 book to go, I figured I might as well read it and cross it off my SAS list, and I'm so glad I did. I think the only con is that the series is now over, because I felt like Amy Pershing really did hit her stride in this 3rd and final book, and I really grew to love and appreciate the series overall, having now read the 3rd book. So I'm kind of sad that it's done and that I don't get to continue on with this series anymore, but it is a series that I do recommend. It is very different to a lot of other cozies that I read in the fact that we are following a main character who is she writes like columns, articles, things like that, to do with restaurants. She's a restaurant reviewer, and I really appreciate that. But I think on the whole, what I appreciated most about this series is the list of characters that we are dealing with, especially her dog. She has this dog called Diogi, who is just so beautiful in every way, and she has a next door neighbor. I forgot her name momentarily, but her next door neighbor is so quirky. I love older quirky characters, and if you love them too, then I highly recommend checking out the series, because her older next door neighbor lady couldn't be any more quirky if she tried, and that just made the book have such a refreshing feel. So the next book that I read also helped me to cross off a series from my SAS list, and that was this book, A Crime of Poison by Nancy Haddock. This is book number 3 in the Silver Six Crafting Mystery series, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. The tradition of this series has just been one that has been incredible for me to witness, because the very first book, Basket Case, to me kind of was. It reflected the type of book it was. I found it to be quite a basket case of a book, because I had a lot of struggles with it. Yeah, I did not enjoy it. It's a cozy mystery series, and the first book just kind of throws you directly into a murder mystery from the get-go. I mean, literally in the opening paragraph of the opening book, we have a detective who has phoned the protagonist to tell her to get down to her auntie's house because something's going on and she's got to work out what it is. This is not the norm for what I've come across with cozies, because usually we get in the first book a bit of background of our protagonist, and we get to see the cozy side kind of play out and get to know more about this world that we're in within the cozy series first. We did not get that. And honestly, the first book to me read like 90% mystery, 10% cozy, which did annoy me. But over the course of time, I definitely felt like Nancy Haddock not only began to, but certainly hit her stride. Book number 2 was a massive improvement. the cozy barometer level went up quite a bit. And in book number 3, I just loved it so much. I mean, 4 stars is still a very solid rating. So very similar to what I was dealing with Amy Pershing's Cape Cod Foodie Mystery series, in that really, you know, there were some bumps along the way, but they both ended incredibly well. And I feel all the better for having read both of them. So 4 stars for this one. The next book that I read was this book, which is Up to Noguda, and it is written by Linda Riley. I gave this book 4.5 stars. This book was so fantastic. I had heard so much about this book going in, and I'm really not someone to follow hype when it comes to a book, and if anything, hype kind of turns me away from books, because all I can think is everyone's just hyping it up, and I don't know, what if it doesn't hold up for me, and whatever. But I finally decided to give this book a go because a lot of people said that it made them feel very happy and that it was an extremely cozy type of cozy mystery rather than a mystery. It was a cozy dominant cozy mystery as opposed to a mystery dominant cozy mystery, and I completely agree after having read it. I walked away from this book wanting to eat 1 million cheese toasty sandwiches because, oh my gosh. But yeah, it just felt extremely comfortable. I'm sorry to say that I've forgotten the protagonist's name, but what I can remember is that we follow a protagonist who is running a grilled cheese shop, and at the beginning of the book, the landlord comes in to let her know that he has sold her shop to someone else, and it's currently kind of in escrow as they try to deal with, you know, her moving out and the new owner moving in. And so our protagonist needs to go and find another store to work in, and then the landlord ends up showing up dead, so we have to try and figure out what the heck is going on there. And it does put the protagonist into a terrible situation because she is considered a suspect because it was her business that could potentially be shut down, so therefore there's a clear motivation for her to be the killer. I just really enjoyed this book quite a lot, and I look forward to reading the next one. I believe it's called No Palm, No Foul, and I definitely look forward to getting onto that one when I get time to do so. Yeah, so just to repeat, I gave this book 4.5 stars. The next book that I read comes with a very interesting backstory. Not the actual story itself, but what went on behind the scenes of the story for me. The next book that I read was this book, Scandal at the Salty Dog, which is book number 4 in the Secrets and Scrabble series by Josh Lanyon. Okay. Quickly, I'll tell you what was going on behind the scenes. I actually needed to order this book 3 times before I finally got the book that I wanted. Reason being that the first time I ordered this book, this is exactly what I got. Looks like a book, doesn't it? Till you get to the back and you see there's no blurb on the back. And then when you open the book, there are no words on the inside. It is literally a blank book. So I contacted the delivery company and said, you know, this is what happened. Can we send me out a replacement? Because clearly this is not the book I want. And the same thing happened again. So we looked into it, and then we found out that there were 2 items listed for this novel. And then I got this book, which is not only thicker, but it is also a lot smaller, and it actually does have words in it. So this is the book that I was meant to have all along. Now, regarding the actual story itself, okay, first of all, the Secrets and Scrabble series is absolutely fantastic. If you have not read this series yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. There are some people out there who don't like reading LGBTIQ plus books, and if you're one of those people, that is absolutely fine. Maybe the series won't be for you. But if you are someone who doesn't mind or likes reading LGBTIQ plus books and you like cozies, then my friends, don't go past the Secrets and Scrabble series. In this series, we follow a man by the name of Ellery, who is running a mystery bookstore because it's been bequeathed to him by his auntie, and the store in book 1 is being run into the ground, so he's trying to do what he can to make it a success. Yeah, it kind of follows the same tropes as your standard bookstore run type cozy mystery, but the difference being here that we're following a guy instead of a woman, which is what happens normally in cozies, and that the guy just so happens to be gay, which normally we don't follow a gay character in cozies either, so it kind of breaks the mold. But this series has just been so incredibly impressive. In this particular book, There is something that's going on at the Salty Dog, which is a pub in this world, and so Ellery needs to try and get to the bottom of it. There's really not a lot I can say because there'll be a ton of spoilers if I do, but this series is so fantastic that I actually reached out to Josh Lanyon and had a bit of a discussion with him. Josh Lanyon is a pen name, but that's the name on the book, so that's the name I'm going to use. Josh Lanyon told me that there is potential for there to be 10 books in this series, which had me so incredibly excited. I'll never forget getting the response from Josh Lanyon saying to me, I have ideas for 10 books. So if they are willing to allow me to keep going, there will be 10 books in the series. So that has me very, very, very excited. This series has not once let me down so far. And I gave this particular book in the series 4.5 stars. So the next book that I read was this book, which is Bookmarked for Death by Lorna Barrett. I have to think because I don't have the book on me. It's on the way. This is book number 2 in the Booktown Mystery series. I loved book 1 so much. It is set in a world where there are tons of different bookstores, and each bookstore has its own genre. So you have a mystery bookstore, a fantasy bookstore, a sci-fi bookstore, a cookbook store, and so on and so forth. Book 1 was so good. I loved it. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but I will stand by it. I really loved it. I just had other books on my SAS list that I wanted to get to first, but I was so excited to get into book number 2, and it definitely did not let me down. I think honestly that what I appreciate most about this series is the mystery side, which goes against logic for me normally, but Lorna Barrett certainly knows how to pen a mystery. Not only did I enjoy the mystery all the way through, I even enjoyed the reveal, which doesn't often happen for me. And I ended up giving this book 5 stars because it was just so good. I can't wait to continue on. There is no way that I'm going to be able to finish the Booktown Mystery series by the end of the year because there are just way too many books, but I'd like to read the first 4 or 5 by the end of the year and then focus on the rest of the series in 2023. I am loving this series so far, Lorna Barrett. Thank you so much. 5 stars from me. So the next book that I read broke my TBR because it wasn't on there originally, but I had heard many great things about it, and I actually had this book saved to my Scribd account from the moment I opened up a Scribd account, which I think was about a year ago, and I had just kind of been sitting on it and saying, I'll get to it one day, I'll get to it one day. So I wanted another feel-good cozy, so I ended up picking it up. And that book is this book, Death of a Kitchen Diva by Lee Hollis. This is, I don't remember, book number 1 in the, I think it's Haley Powell, Food and Cocktail, if I remember correctly, series. And I loved this book so much, you guys. Oh my goodness. I want to meet Lee Hollis. Now, if my information is correct, someone was telling me recently that Lee Hollis is a combination of a brother-sister authoring duo, so kind of like Christina Lauren in that way that there's an authoring duo situation, so it's Lee and Hollis. But, oh my gosh, they are amazing. I felt like they wrote this book for me. It was so good. I had so many different vibes. I had Pretty Little Liar vibes. I had, oh gosh, How to Get Away with Murder vibes. I had so many different vibes from this book that made it so fantastic. The book opens up days ahead and for the prologue, and then we go back, and what's going on is that our protagonist in this days ahead prologue is being arrested for a crime, and so we then need to backtrack and get to that day and find out why she was accused and what the crime was, and so on and so forth. I just loved this. Our protagonist, and again, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names, but our protagonist is so fantastic. The way that she is as a person was just so wonderful. Oh my gosh, I want to live with her. I want her as a friend, but Lee and Hollis just did such an incredible job. I cannot highly recommend this book enough. If you are looking for a cozy mystery book, I highly recommend Death of a Kitchen Diva. And in fact, at the time of recording, the next book that I'm due to pick up is actually book number 2, which is Death of a Country Fried Redneck. And I can't wait to pick up this book. I am so excited, y'all. An overwhelming 5 stars from me. So the next book that I picked up is a series that I am slowly but surely falling in love with. It is not on my SAS list this year, but guaranteed it will be next year. And that is the Coffee House Mystery Series, book number 2, which is this book Through the Grinder by Cleo Coyle. Okay, so first thing that I want to ask you before I recommend you read this series is, do you like coffee? Now, for those of you who have said no, you can still try the series, but be warned, it is incredibly coffee dominant. For those of you who have come back to me and said, yes, Mr. Francy, I like coffee, my next question is, how much? How much coffee do you drink every day? How obsessed are you with coffee? If you are obsessed to the umpteenth degree with coffee, to the degree of myself and Lorelai Gilmore from Gilmore Girls, you will love this series. Oh my goodness. The cozy side of this series is coffee dominant. There is so much that Cleo Coyle tells us through the protagonist, who is, Claire Cosey, that it is just so perfect for me, because every time that I have been reading either the first book or this one, I've been drinking coffee while listening to it, and it has helped me to learn so much about coffee that I have to say, I'm starting to realize certain things about certain coffees that I'm drinking that I'm not liking anymore. But it's just so well done. And also, through Claire Cosey, Cleo Coyle is able to show us a lot of different things that you can do with coffee that I didn't quite expect. I won't say what it is, but at some point, and this is not a spoiler, at some point, Claire Cosey cooks a savoury dish, and she includes coffee in it, and it blew my mind. I ended up having a 1-hour discussion with my mother after that scene, saying, did you know that you could do this? And da-da-da. She's like, yeah, I knew. We just never discussed it. My mum doesn't like coffee, so that's why it never came up. In fact, my mother doesn't like coffee so much to the point that she's always told me a golden rule is, if ever you see a recipe that calls for coffee, you can always substitute it with chocolate. So my mum doesn't like coffee at all. But yeah, it's just made me think of coffee in so many different ways. Look, I absolutely love this book, and I love the series. And I also need to talk about the PLL vibes that I got in this one, Pretty Little Liars vibes, because we follow the antagonist's perspective in certain chapters, which I've not come across before, but it is genius. The antagonist is referred to as the genius, and I understand why. But yeah. Oh my gosh, if you've ever seen Pretty Little Liars and you've seen those A scenes where at the end of the episode we see the hooded figure setting up something for the next episode or reacting to something or whatever, we get these types of scenes in this book, and I was so there for it. Oh my gosh, it was written so well. The genius stood there and was thinking this, and then ended up doing this and this and this, and then we get to the next chapter and our protagonist discovers what this genius has done. Oh my gosh, it was... There's not one thing that I can say I did not like about this book. I loved the genius side of things. I loved the coffee side of things. I loved everything. 5 stars from me. And the final book that I read is the final novella in this compendium, which is called Amish Candy Shop Holidays by Amanda Flower. So I'll put an image over the front of this book, and it is this book, which is Candy Cane Crime by Amanda Flower. This is book number 5.5 in the Amish Candy Shop series, and my goodness, did I lap this book up. Okay, so I love this series as a whole. I've made no secret of that. I have read the first 5 books in this series, and this novella is book 5.5. I don't know when book 7 is out. I haven't been keeping an eye on it, but this month, in August, I'm reading book 6. Then I'll read the new release book 7, and I'll be completely up to date. This series has been the... Oh gosh, Josh Lanyon, cover your ears. This series has been the single best cozy mystery series that I've read, ever. And that says a lot. Oh my gosh, even Julianne Lindsay with, the Christmas Tree Farm series, cover your ears. Because I feel horrible, because I love Secrets and Scrabbles, and I love the Christmas Tree Farm series. I love the Coffee Shop series. I love the Booktown mystery series. I love so many cozy mystery series, but Amanda Flower, the way she writes her Amish Candy Shop series is exactly what I want with a cozy mystery series. If you are looking for a cozy mystery series that is undoubtedly cozy leaning, this is the way to go. If anyone deserves the name Amanda Flower, it is Amanda Flower, because her books are just so beautiful and I absolutely love them. Now let's focus on Candy Cane Crime. There is not a lot that I can say because, again, it is book 5.5 in a series, so everything I say is going to be a spoiler. But there are 2 novellas within the entire series where we follow a different character to the protagonist we normally follow. And this is the second one. The first one is the first book in the series, the first novella, Criminally Coco. Now, what do both of these books have in common? Well, we follow our protagonist Bailey's cousin, whose name is Charlotte. The next thing that they have in common is they are the only cozy mysteries where I've solved the murder, which makes me love them even more. Well, not the murder, the mystery, because that is the third thing that these 2 novellas have in common. They are the only 2 books in the entire series where the crime that is trying to be solved, the mystery that is trying to be solved, is not a murder. It is something else. In Candy Cane Crime, it is Christmas time and Charlotte has decided to take responsibility as the role of supervisor for these candy canes that are going to be delivered with messages on them, basically. And every time that Charlotte goes to empty the bin where the candy canes are placed in, which is in the middle of the Amish country area, she finds at least one candy cane that's been addressed to her, and when she reads the first one, it says, "From your secret admirer." So the mystery becomes, who is the secret admirer? And yeah, is this done in a nefarious way or is it done in a loving way? And let's find out. Yeah, beautiful mystery. It just goes to show, and thank you Amanda Flower, that not every single cozy mystery in every single series has to deal with a death. And I really, really appreciate that. Yep, I solved it. To me, the whodunit was incredibly obvious, but that didn't diminish the book for me at all. I still very much enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars, an overwhelming 5 stars. So, as I said, this month I'm going to be reading Lemon Drop Dead, book number 6, which I'm incredibly excited about. And then I'll be up to date in as far as all the books that were released before this month. Then next month I'll read the newest release that comes out this month, Peanut Butter Panic. And then I'll be completely up to date. But I absolutely love this series and I cannot highly recommend it enough. So overall, an amazing reading month for me, the month of July. How did your reading month go in the month of July? Let me know in the comment section below. I will be back very soon with a reading vlog, so keep an eye and ear out for that one. If you have not already, please do subscribe. It really does help my channel. And hit the notification bell, ding, so that you can be notified each and every time I do upload a video. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye everyone.